Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're one of our longtime C9 followers, or maybe you've just found us through the business page, welcome.
You're likely here because you're an Australian business owner, maybe a C-level exec, and you're wrestling with a problem that uh, just throwing money at isn't solving.
The B2B sales talent shortage. It's severe and it's hitting hard.
Exactly. I'm Vera, and with me is Lex. We're both from the C9 podcast show. And look, you've seen the data. The old way of doing things, just trying to hire your way out of this problem, it's fundamentally broken.
It really is. I mean, we're seeing hiring cycles in Sydney and Melbourne stretching past 60 days.
And that's if you can even find someone. When you do, that top-tier talent, they're demanding a 20, even 30% salary premium.
That's just not a sustainable model.
Yep.
So our mission in this deep dive is to cut right through that noise. We're going to talk about the real answer here, which is the shift to agentic AI workflows.
But before we get to the solution, we have to talk about the cost of just waiting.
Let's quantify it.
And this is the number that should really get your attention. Our sources confirm it. Australian B2B companies are, on average, hemorrhaging $127,000 per quarter.
Wow. Per
quarter. And that's just from vacant sales positions. It doesn't even begin to factor in the lost revenue, the pipeline that just isn't being built.
That is.
Wow.
That's not just a line item on a spreadsheet. That's like losing a whole high-performing salesperson every single quarter.
It is. So today, we're going to do a full systems breakdown. First, we'll nail down the specific financial toll of this talent gap.
And then
Then we're jumping straight into 5 verifiable, high-impact strategies for deploying AI sales workflows. We're talking about agentic AI that runs 24/7, learns from every single interaction, and here's the key costs, a fraction of one human SDR's salary.
perfect. And just to set the stage for our listeners, when we say agentic AI, what we mean is AI that doesn't just answer a question, it acts autonomously.
Exactly. It initiates actions, complex actions like qualification, research, even scheduling meetings.
And an SDR, or sales development representative, that's your frontline person, the one finding and qualifying those early-stage leads.
Okay, so let's dig into that cost a bit more. Beyond the salary, what are the specific financial drains that this talent shortage is creating?
Well, it starts right at the beginning with acquisition. The recruitment cost alone. You're looking at agency fees, onboarding, all that internal HR time.
And the ramp-up time before they're actually productive.
Exactly. That easily clears $25,000 per hire. And because of this burnout cycle we're seeing, you end up paying that cost over and over again.
And what about the cost that doesn't show up on the balance sheet? The hidden cost.
The opportunity cost. This is the big one. It's the pipeline that you are simply not building.
Our sources are citing anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 in lost revenue. For every single quarter, a key sales role is empty.
You're just leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
And worse, it actually degrades the performance of the team you already have.
Right, because your existing SDRs are picking up all the slack. And they are drowning. They're drowning in unqualified noise. The data is clear. They spend 40 to 50% of their day on leads that will never, ever close.
Which leads right back to that burnout cycle you mentioned.
It's devastating. They spend half their time on junk, they get frustrated, they leave. The sources show a 30% annual turnover rate in that sales development function.
So you're stuck in this loop. You recruit, you overwhelm them, they leave, and then you start that whole expensive process all over again.
Precisely. All while losing over $100,000 in opportunities for every empty seat. The old human model, it costs more the more you try to scale.
Whereas the agentic AI model just gets more efficient.
That's the core difference.
Okay, let's pivot to the solution. We've got 5 specific AI strategies to fix this. Strategy number 1 is autonomous lead qualification with intelligent scoring.
Right.
So, if manual review is the bottleneck, how does an AI agent not just drown in the same noise?
Because the human SDR is reactive, they're manually sifting through a pile of low-intent leads, while the actual high-intent buyers are just sitting there waiting.
And getting cold.
The AI agent, on the other hand, is proactive. It does real-time behavioral analysis. It's not just looking at the form they filled out.
It's looking at everything.
Everything. Did they visit the pricing page, download a specific white paper? Are they reading your blog right now? It's scoring all those interactions.
So it's building this adaptive score based on actual intent signals, not just, what industry they're in. And I assume it learns from your closed deals to get smarter over time.
That is the absolute key. So it can automatically route only the genuinely qualified high-intent leads to your human reps.
And how is that achieved technically, it's not a simple plugin, is it?
No, it requires custom orchestration. Think of it like an automated switchboard. You're often using tools like NAN or Power Automate to build workflows that integrate all your fragmented data into one intelligent layer.
And the metrics on this are pretty compelling. We're talking a 45 to 60% reduction in time spent qualifying.
It's nearly halving the workload. One Melbourne B2B SaaS company we looked at, they recovered 18 hours a day across their team.
18 hours a day.
They valued that recovered time at $450,000 annually.
That's a huge operational saving.
Huge. Which brings us to strategy 2, 204/7 engagement with context-aware conversations. So strategy 1 handles efficiency. But speed means nothing if the lead is already gone.
Right, what you call the midnight lead problem.
Exactly.
This is a universal pain point. Your best prospect finishes their work at 10 p.m. on a Sunday, they submit a form, and they expect an answer now.
And if your competitor's automation gets back to them in 2 minutes and you wait until 9 a.m. Monday morning,
that deal is gone before you've even had your coffee.
The solution is instant context-aware engagement within 60 seconds. The AI agent knows what page they were on, it knows their industry, and it has a real conversation to qualify intent. If they pass, it books the meeting right there.
And the human rep gets the full history.
The full history. The result is response times dropping from, say, 8 hours down to under 2 minutes, and a 40 to 50% jump in qualified meetings booked.
But this is the important distinction, right? This isn't just a generic chatbot.
Absolutely not. A generic chatbot answers FAQs. This needs real development. It needs custom prompt engineering trained on your specific sales methodology, your Australian business context.
Otherwise, it just sounds robotic and flat.
And generic, which is a perfect segue to strategy 3, hyper-personalized outreach at scale.
Right. So we know the generic email templates, they get maybe a 1 or 2% response rate. It's abysmal. But if we're using AI to pull data from, say, LinkedIn's Sales Navigator, how do we avoid just automating spam?
That's a great question. The difference is the context. The AI isn't just pulling their job title, it's researching recent specific events.
Like what?
A new funding announcement for their company, a piece of news, a relevant job they're hiring for. It then generates a truly dynamic, relevant message. It's not a template.
So what used to take a human 15 minutes of manual research now takes 30 seconds.
Precisely. And that's how you see response rates jump from that miserable 2% up to 8, even 12%. Now, on the tech side, you need workflows to pull that data, but crucially, you have to do it with strict compliance with the Australian Privacy Act.
You can't cut corners there.
No, the reputational and legal risk is massive.
Okay, strategy 4, predictive pipeline intelligence. Sales managers are relying on gut feel, and forecast accuracy is hovering around 60–70%. How does AI bring clarity?
It creates a continuous monitoring loop. It tracks deal engagement. Did they open the follow-up? Did they share the meeting invite with their boss? It uses machine learning trained on your historical CRM data to spot the patterns that signal a deal is stalling.
So the human rep gets an automated alert and can actually intervene with precision instead of finding out 2 weeks later the deal went cold.
That's it. It moves forecast accuracy up to 85–95%, and you see a 30 to 40% reduction in deals lost to no decision. It's revenue you recover through foresight.
And finally, strategy 5. Automated meeting orchestration. This one feels like a no-brainer. The scheduling back and forth.
The scheduling ping pong. It's a deal killer. We've all seen it. 8 emails just to book 1 meeting.
And the lead goes from warm to ice cold in the process.
The AI-powered calendar integration finds the optimal time instantly. But more than that, it bundles the process. It sends an automated pre-meeting brief with all the research. It triggers automated post-meeting follow-ups.
It turns a simple admin chore into a strategic touchpoint.
Exactly. And the numbers, they really stack up. You reduce the lead-to-meeting timeline by 60 to 70%. And each sales rep saves 5 to 8 hours a week.
Per week.
For a CFO, that translates to between $30,000 and $50,000 in annual savings per rep.
The savings on that one strategy alone could fund the whole AI project.
It absolutely could. So you have qualification, speed, personalization, foresight, and time savings. If you had to pick just one, the lowest hanging fruit for a time-poor exec, where would you start?
I think strategy 5, the meeting orchestration. The tools are often easier to implement, the time saving is immediately measurable, and you're removing a daily frustration for your team. It's a quick win that builds momentum. So the roadmap is clear, but it only works if the implementation is solid. And we have to talk about the biggest, most expensive shortcut we see people take,
The just give me a price and timeline approach.
and skipping discovery.
That is a direct path to project failure. We see it all the time. Companies trying to salvage projects where they skip discovery, the $15,000 chatbot that can't actually access their CRM data.
Or the $40,000 integration that doesn't integrate.
The common thread is always the same. They focused on the idea of automation, but they never uncovered the actual granular complexity of their own systems.
So what does a thorough discovery process actually reveal that a shortcut misses?
Well, first, it uncovers all the hidden dependencies. An executive might think their CRM is standard, but in reality, it's got custom objects, 23 custom fields, a dozen exception cases for lead routing.
And if you build automation without knowing about those exceptions,
The workflow just fails silently the second a unique lead hits the system.
it also forces alignment on stakeholder requirements, doesn't it?
It has to. Sales needs speed, marketing needs attribution, IT needs security, and the CFO needs to see the ROI. You have to balance all of that in the design phase.
And you clarify what success actually looks like. You might think you want more leads, but what you really need is 40% fewer unqualified leads wasting your team's time.
A proper discovery, maybe 7 to 12 hours of work, it's preventative maintenance. It prevents tens of thousands of dollars in scope creep later. It's the difference between a project failing and a project delivering immediate ROI.
Okay, the next major roadblock. Let's talk about the AI Cowboy problem.
Ah, yes, the lure of the cheap and fast solution. The I'll build your AI sales agent for $500 in 3 days promise.
It's tempting.
It is, but that mentality, it often leads to what we call vibes coding. You're just building software based on what feels right in the moment. There's no planning for architecture, for edge cases, scalability, or critically, security.
So as a business owner, what are the real-world worst-case scenarios when this kind of essential workflow is built poorly?
The security nightmares are significant. You get hard-coded API keys left exposed, no data encryption for sensitive customer information, and with the amount of personal data involved in sales, those gaps can easily trigger a mandatory breach notification under the Privacy Act.
That's a business-level risk, not just a tech problem.
A massive one. And then you have the unmaintainable mess, no documentation, workflows we call spaghetti logic that just break.
We saw a case study at Melbourne FinTech. They paid 15 grand for a tool. Turns out the CRM integration was just someone doing a manual CSV export every day.
And that cost them $28,000 to rebuild properly, not to mention 4 months of lost revenue velocity. Cheap always ends up being more expensive.
So we need a solution that balances quality and cost. This is where a structured resource blending model comes in.
The industry problem is pretty clear. Pure onshore development is often just too expensive. But pure offshore can lack the oversight and the local business context you need.
The answer is strategic blending. You need that onshore client success and architecture. The critical thinking and design has to be local.
But you can strategically blend the senior development resources. You maintain Australian oversight for your QA and DevOps, for example.
And that strategic blend, it can achieve 30 to 40% cost savings compared to a pure onshore firm. But you maintain the quality because the accountability is local.
And, more importantly, you get the knowledge transfer advantage. Every asset comes with comprehensive documentation, live walkthroughs, maintenance playbooks. You're not buying a black box. You're gaining a controlled, documented business asset. So let's just summarize the core choice that you're facing right now as a business leader in Australia. This talent shortage, it's not going away.
Not anytime soon.
The roadmap for scaling without those human constraints is clear. We've shown you the data points, how to stop that $127,000 quarterly drain. So the only choice left is, are you going to do it right or are you going to do it twice?
We would encourage you to take the lowest risk step possible today. You can book a free 30-minute strategy call with us. We'll talk about your current sales workflows, and we'll identify 2 or 3 high-impact automation opportunities that are tailored specifically to your business.
And here's the guarantee that backs that up. If, after a full discovery process, we don't see a clear, measurable path for you to achieve at least a 3x ROI within 12 months, we will recommend against proceeding. We're here to partner for your success, not just to sell a project.
You can find out more about how we implement all these strategies at www.c9.com.au. We are C9, and we help businesses leverage technology to solve these huge talent and scaling problems. And please click that follow button and share this deep dive with any other Australian business owners or execs you think could benefit.
The talent shortage isn't resolving, but neither is your competitor's desire to capture those midnight leads. So the real question is, what is the actual cost of waiting?